Thank you for joining me for this video on Revelation chapter 12, part 1. In this video, we will go over 7 topics: the pregnant woman in labor pains, the seven-headed dragon, the dragon's tail and the stars in the sky, the dragon and the baby boy, the child will rule with an iron rod, the child snatched away from the dragon, and the woman flees to the wilderness. Please feel free to leave your comments and thoughts in the comments section. Revelation 12, 1 and 2 says, "Then I witnessed in heaven an event of great significance. I saw a woman clothed with the sun, with a moon beneath her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant, and she cried out because of her labor pains in the agony of giving birth." Genesis 37, 9 and 10 says, "Soon Joseph had another dream, and again he told his brothers about it. 'Listen, I have had another dream,' he said. 'The sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed low before me.' This time he told the dream to his father as well as to his brothers, but his father scolded him. 'What kind of dream is that?' he asked. 'Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow to the ground before you?' But while his brothers were jealous of Joseph, his father wondered what the dreams meant." Also, Micah 4:10a says, "Writhe and groan like a woman in labor, you people of Jerusalem." These two verses make it clear to me that the woman represents Israel, who is giving birth to the baby who must be Jesus. The woman is clothed in the sun, who appears to be Jacob, with the moon under her feet, who is Rachel, and she has a crown of 12 stars on her head, who are the 12 tribes of Israel. Genesis 12:3 says, "Then I witnessed in heaven another significant event. I saw a large red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, with 7 crowns on his heads." It is believed that the 7 heads represent the 7 major prophetic empires that have impacted Israel, the Jews, and Jerusalem. In order, they are Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Media-Persia, Greece, Rome, and a final 7th empire that continues in the last days for a short time. I believe that empire may be the Islamic Empire. Revelation 17, 9 and 10 says, "This calls for a mind with understanding. The 7 heads of the beast represent the 7 hills where the woman rules. They also represent 7 kings. 5 kings have already fallen. The 6th now reigns, and the 7th is yet to come, but his reign will be brief." The 6th king that it says is, quote, "now reigning," would have been Rome at the time John was writing this. Again, I think the next one to come that will reign for a short time will be an Islamic empire. Revelation 12:4a says, "His tail swept away 1/3 of the stars in the sky and threw them to the earth." A lot of people interpret this verse as part of the story where Satan is cast out of heaven with his angels, but I would like to propose a different idea to you. It seems pretty clear to me that this event and the event where Satan is cast out with his angels are separate. For one thing, they are separated by 2 verses with other events in between. But also Daniel talks about what appears to be the same event in his vision. Look at Daniel chapter 8, verses 9 through 12 that says, "Then from one of the prominent horns came a small horn whose power grew very great. It extended toward the south and the east and towards the glorious land of Israel. Its power reached to the heavens, where it attacked the heavenly army, or host of heaven in the ESV translation, throwing some of the heavenly beings, or host, and some of the stars to the ground and trampling them. It even challenged the commander of heaven's army by canceling the daily sacrifices offered to him and by destroying his temple. The army of heaven was restrained from responding to this rebellion, so the daily sacrifice was halted and truth was overthrown. The horn succeeded in everything it did." Notice in this passage that the goat's power reached to the heavens, where it attacked heaven's army and threw some of them and the stars to the ground and trampled them. This is almost the exact same language from Revelation. Also notice that the army of heaven was restrained from responding. If they were restrained, then Michael and his angels could not have gone to war with the dragon, casting he and his angels out immediately following this rebellion. In Daniel 8:21, when Gabriel is explaining the vision to Daniel, he says that the big horn on the goat represents the first king of Greece. That king was Alexander the Great. In Daniel 8:22, Gabriel goes on to explain that Alexander's kingdom will be split into 4 kingdoms that represent the 4 horns that grow up when the first one is broken off, but they won't be as great as his. When Alexander died, his kingdom was split into the 4 Hellenistic kingdoms under the control of his 4 generals. In Daniel 8:23 through 25, Gabriel further explains that after the end of the Hellenistic Empire's reign, a new king will take over that represents the small horn that grows out of one of the 4 horns. The Hellenistic empires were conquered by Rome, and many people believe that this new king that Daniel is writing about is Antiochus Epiphanes. Notice that when Gabriel says that this king will destroy powerful leaders and devastate the holy people, that it sounds a lot like when this goat in Daniel 8:10 and the dragon in Revelation 12:4 throw down some of the heavenly beings and the stars and trample them. The final point I want to make is that Exodus 12 verses 40 and 41 says, "The time that the people of Israel lived in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of 430 years, on that very day, all the hosts of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt." While the phrase host of heaven usually refers to God's heavenly armies, here it seems to be a symbolic representation of the people of Israel. Ultimately, what I believe is that when John is writing about the dragon sweeping away the stars, he is talking about a past event that happened when Satan, through Antiochus, desecrated the temple and slaughtered God's people. By desecrating the temple and trampling God's people, Satan was staging an attack against God himself. But God allowed it to happen as a picture of what was to come before the day of the Lord, and restrained heaven's armies from retaliating. This may be a difficult interpretation to accept because these verses are traditionally taught differently. I encourage you to comment on your thoughts in the comment section. Revelation 12:4b says, "He stood in front of the woman as she was about to give birth, ready to devour her baby as soon as it was born." In this verse, it seems to me that John is rewinding back before when the dragon sweeps the stars away, back to the pregnant woman. I think this could be a representation of Satan working through King Herod. Matthew 2:16 says, "Herod was furious when he realized that the wise men had outwitted him. He sent soldiers to kill all the boys in and around Bethlehem who were 2 years old and under, based on the wise men's report of the star's first appearance." I think this is the picture John is referring to when he said the dragon stood in front of the woman ready to devour her baby. Before I talked about Satan worked through Antiochus. Here Satan was working through Herod to kill Jesus. Revelation 12:5a says, "She gave birth to a son who was to rule, or shepherd in Greek, all nations with an iron rod." This lines up with Matthew 2:6 that says, "And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are not least among the ruling cities of Judah, for a ruler will come from you who will be the shepherd for my people Israel." I would assume that most people would agree that this child is referring to Jesus, and I think this verse in Matthew confirms it. Revelation 12:5b says, "And her child was snatched away from the dragon and was caught up to God and to his throne." I think John fast forwards from Jesus' birth to his ascension back to his throne in this verse. Revelation 12 verse 6 says, And the woman fled into the wilderness, where God had prepared a place to care for her for 1260 days. Revelation 11 talked about the two witnesses prophesying for 1260 days as well. It appears to me that these two things are the same event. When the two witnesses are prophesying, Israel will be suffering great persecution at the hands of the Antichrist, and the surviving remnant will flee to the mountains. Since the Antichrist is involved, that means that this happens after Satan is cast out of heaven with his angels in the second part of Revelation 12, because it is then that Satan realizes that his time is short and possesses the man that is the Antichrist to kill the people of God. I hope this video on Revelation chapter 12 part 1 has helped you understand the scripture better. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more videos as they are released. Please leave your comments in the comment section. And remember, it is God's privilege to conceal things and the king's privilege to discover them.